set the pace, and of course it was a slow pace. and the guys complained about it. Fast forward to 2-3 months down the line, I was still that pace setter, and the guys were saying, you need to slow down.
Oh, really?
You need to slow down. And
That's
I said,
fantastic.
No, you need to catch up.
Okay.
So it's really just about...
You've been pushing yourself.
Yes, it's about telling yourself you can do it, but beyond that, actually doing it. Okay, you cannot just be romantic about, motivating yourself and say, yes, I can do it. You're not doing it. So you have to put yourself out there. You have to put your hand up. You have to volunteer, and you have to throw yourself into it.
I think we should create that caption with your name on it. You don't romanticize success. You don't romanticize leadership. You push yourself to it. You just do it.
And do it.
I like that.
With an opportunity at any given point in time, it's important that you seize that opportunity, make the best of it, give it your best shot, and do the best that you can out of it. I always say everyone is writing a story, and it must be a story that you must a storytelling, and it must continue. It doesn't end. You always are writing your own story. If your story has not moved the way you thought it would, every day you are faced with an opportunity to rewrite that story. And so with that at the back of my mind, it's things that keep me going and kept me going even at that particular moment. Thanks. And it's what is happening inside of me at that particular moment that is giving me the drive to accept who I am at that particular time and what my shortfalls are and what my strengths are and what I could then become in the future. If you asked me to say, did you see yourself here at the time of starting my career? I did not think it would happen quite soon, but I knew that by the time I'm hitting 40, I had always said, by the time I'm getting to being 40, I must be a CEO. Cuts to getting into an executive role, other than ensuring that you remain a performer and sustain and build on that performance year on year. And so you don't get a job easily. To the girl child, I say, you are welcome to the table. However, you must know that the corporate world has no mercy. You get there, sit at the table, and ensure that you contribute effectively. Ensure that you know and understand your role at the table. And so to everybody else that is there, inclusiveness is very important. Right now, understanding that we are a very diverse group, and as a leader or an individual, you must be able to take on other people's views, because that is the only way you can get to breaking the barriers. And so from myself, it's really about inclusive leadership and ensuring that I am appreciating and I'm understanding the viewpoints from the different angles. You disagree to agree, or you agree to disagree. It's still okay. It's nothing personal. It is business. That principle will help you to get to where you want to be. It's nothing personal. It's business. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Women, particularly the young women watching today, they should start off by setting goals for themselves. That is what you're saying.
Yes, they need to set goals. And like I'm saying, and it's not just your career goals, but it's also, I call them my spiritual goals and my family goals. So my goals are across 3 perspectives. It is
Okay.
my personal goals, my corporate, my family, and my spiritual goals. At every given time in moment, I'm setting one objective that I should be achieving each year along these three lines. And so when I set my corporate goals, then I'm looking to say where am I today and where do I want to be and what must I be doing? Because that is the only way you kind of like get to understand how you must be progressing in life.
I think it takes more than a day, more than a decade.
Legislation, okay.
Yes, and even just to change systems.
Okay, so
change
it's systemic.
systems, yes, to transition. It's one thing to have a piece of paper and to actually have it actualized on the ground. And it talks about acceptability. And the fabric of society is so. It's difficult to shift mindsets and to shift the thinking, such that you can have a piece of paper, but maybe it doesn't fit into.
So patriarchy is a big mountain.
It is.
To chip away.
It is.
And it's taking some time.
What is important is that we're having more conversations about it. We are more liberal in our thinking, and we are seeing practically that women are being elevated to the highest levels of leadership. Who knew that the first African to be at the helm of the World Trade Organization would be a woman?
Absolutely.
Who would have known?
Absolutely.
But there we have it. The first African.
The first female.
Is indeed female.
Yes.
Exactly.
The whole HIV era, what it taught us is that we can program towards behavior change. We can program to stop stigmatization.
Yeah.
I think we've done a lot. So in the same way, we can stop the stigmatization in other sectors as well, because this is learned behavior. So because it's learned behavior, we can relearn the narrative. We change the narrative. How do we change the narrative? How do we put how do we package the information for people to change their attitudes and change their behaviors? One of the things scholars have said is, for example, for girls, show them. I go to rural areas where, because you are driving a vehicle, the whole village have never seen a woman driving. They will surround you and come and watch. Why I like that is that that girl in there who's watching knows that, okay, then it's possible for me when I finish school to be able to get into that position, because she has seen a woman doing it.
Yes.
The iceberg is much bigger beneath the water because of the processes that people have had to go through and probably continue to go through to be able to achieve anything that is worth paying attention to. So, just what I've talked about, just starting from the challenges of coming back and being thrown into grade 11 and telling myself that I'm going to do it nonetheless. It's going to be hard, but the challenge itself should force me to work that much harder.
Yeah.
And now bring that to the environment where I work. Like you said, it's a very male-dominated environment. Yeah. And I never sit and complain about it. And it's not just limited to the military. Society and traditions and culture have defined who we are and how far we can go.
Everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as opposed to sitting there and saying, but why? Why me? Why is the situation like this? Understand why the situation is like that. Why do people form opinions about women in the way that they do? Why is society layered and structured?
The roles we give ourselves, because that is where that comes from. It's really looking at, are we making rules that are fair to everybody? Are we making rules as a society that benefit everybody? Are we making rules that are not marginalizing anyone? Because that's the starting point in terms of, if I make this decision, how does it help or disadvantage somebody? So it's really as simple as just looking at, how are we organizing ourselves as a society Are we helping the girl? Are we marginalizing her? Even the boys, I know there's a lot of also pressure. I know when you talk about gender, it's not only girls. Even the boys. If you bring up a boy in terms of masculinity,
toxic masculinity,
like you shouldn't cry. You should be aggressive. You're not doing that child a favor, because then they are going to grow up being an abuser. They are going to grow up. You see, so for me, it's even the boys need, they also need to be sensitized, to be helped, to actually just grow up as normal human beings.
All of us have been created for a purpose. Every single one of us has a unique space to occupy in this earth, and it is a God-given purpose. And we all know that we have something that is in place in us that will usher us into our greatness, whatever that looks like. And the thing that hinders most of us is this fear of failing, fear of what will people think, fear of I will not be able to attain this thing that I want to do. I want to encourage you now that the first thing that you need to do is take a step and get your feet wet. It's very comfortable and cozy on the boat. Get out of the boat and you might do something amazing like walking on water. The first thing that you need to do is a start. Everybody who you have looked at and think have done anything remotely great in their life did it because they took the step. And doing it doesn't mean the absence of fear. It's doing it in spite of the fear. And if you fail, you might learn a lesson, or you might actually succeed. The first thing that you need to tell yourself and know in your heart, convict yourself that you are capable, you are able, and there is nothing that you cannot do with God on your side.
So apart from Lucy's journey,
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lessons, Life and Leadership Lessons Learned from Our Leading Ladies. It's such a wonderful thing to be here. Isn't just such an appreciative evening, thanking God for those three women we just saw. We just saw Muzikanji, we just saw Chilufia, and we saw Christine as well. Three women excelling in the different areas that they've been called. Three women that are doing great things, and they have given their time to serving. Not just serving their personal selves, but self-humanity. And we're really appreciative of them. I hope they're watching. And for all of you that know them, always appreciate them. Welcome to this session. We're reviewing three women. We're reviewing Chilufia Ngoy, Nyirenda. We're reviewing Muzikanji Namwawa, fastest colonel in the whole of our defense forces, female also. And we're reviewing Christine Mundabuyu. I hope I pronounced it well. But hey, we've gone and we're there. Tonight, we've made a twist where we're just not doing from people from Lawi. We've had those Lawi women, they've talked. Then I've had a lot of that girl called Kasongo. I'm sure you guys have heard so much. She just talks and talks. But today we thought we should take and bring in some viewers, people that have viewed, that have watched, and in their watching they have been so excited about these women. And today we have firstly on the far, before I go far, let me come to the boss herself. So let's have Kasongo. Kasongo is with us tonight because they can fire me tonight. So hey, Kasongo, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing lovely. It's a beautiful night, and I'm so excited to have different other faces except for
Malawi women.
These are the women you work for, because when you do your job, if they're not watching, you don't have a job.
I don't have a job.
I have a job. I can preach anytime. You don't have a job. I can fire you. But more importantly, we have Inonge. Inonge Lofiano, you have been so amazing watching these things. You have been super. Your analysis, just, I don't know how to describe them. Welcome to Lessons Learned in Inonge.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm. I'm your fan. I should be profiling you. I'm just your fan.
Let's see. Let's engage.
Let's engage. No, we don't want to engage. We want to do it now. So,
now.
Tell me, how was Scars to Stars for you?
Scars to Scars was a journey. It was a beautiful journey. It was interesting.
Okay.
As the days went by, I was peeling off layers of onion, because the ladies were giving such different angles about themselves and about what was important, what helped to build them. And I was also identifying with a lot of the things they were bringing out and re-evaluating myself in the process.
So it brought a lot of self-assessment, self-reflection, self-realization too.
And it now has put me, now I have homework, because it's put me in a place where now I have to be true to myself and change my path.
So it was worth it, therefore, having, from a viewer's perspective, these programs, they were worth the time.
They were worth the time, because for a lot of the ladies' info, what it did was it woke me up at some points. You know, it made me say, she's talking about me. You know, and
so you could relate.
I related so much. You know, there are times I have to put the program on pause and say, you know, that's
me.
That's spectacular. That's me. That's deep. I have homework now. I have to look at myself differently, because here's someone who is speaking what I needed to hear, that sometimes I was telling myself, but because no one is seeing things in, you know, the way you see them. When you don't get validation from another person, you sometimes you doubt yourself. You just stay where you are in your comfort zone. But when somebody else says, you know what, that struggle, I know about it, it gives you hope.
So from a viewer's perspective, you're at home. It was work, it was vision, it was getting on the road and just, you know, going everywhere to make sure it happens, because we believed in these women and we wanted to celebrate them. It was actually a celebration of their success. For you as a viewer at home, what was it for a viewer? Try and give me perspective of a viewer. What was it for you as a viewer? You just come and they give you these programs. What did it do for the viewer?
As a viewer, I looked at these women and I said, they've walked the walk that a lot of us have walked. They're relatable. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. You know, some of the issues that they were bringing out are issues that we identify with. And some of the things that they have done and the spaces that they have been able to overcome, when they talked about how they got to where they got to, then you start to look at yourself and say, that's the mindset I need. That's the audacity. That's the
I like the word audacity.
That's the audacity that people need to have. That's the, you know, it just makes you see things outside your little box.
Brilliant.
You know, you learn you learn you learn to look at life through a different lens.
So I love that you said, and I wish we would even title the book The Audacity. Audacity to succeed.
The cheek.
Because
with a lot of them, you know, you needed to push against what was in front of you.
Loads of barriers.
And the problem that a lot of people have is they take these barriers as, that's just the way it's supposed to be. That's just life.
Accept
Let me just
That's
flow
life.
with this. I mean, it's difficult, so... And
these women had the audacity to challenge status quo.
To challenge the status quo.
And say, I can.
To break down walls and say, there's a wall here, everyone's looked at it and said, that's the way the wall is. You can break it down. Because there's a plan, there's a journey. You need to have a strategy. You need to know yourself.
Great.
It's all these things. There was so much coming in. I have a notebook. I was writing down what each woman was
So you have a notebook, Scars to Stars. Ship, 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 ship. Awesome.
The girl of these women.
Okay. So waiting for season 2. You're ready? Because you need a new notebook.
Yeah.
Let's come to
I'm ready.
Let's come to Nawina. Thank you for joining us today. You're one of the people watching and watching at home. And Inonge says you really should be on this. So tell me about Scars to Stars. What did you find from it? I know that. I hope these cameras are not intimidating. Break that barrier. Just break it down. And let's get into it. Tell me about what was it for you, Scars to Stars, watching it.
Okay, firstly, good evening, Pastor Jalami.
Good evening.
I'm
You see, none of you said good evening. You see?
She's challenging the status quo.
You see? Audacity. Please go ahead.
and I'm most delighted to be on this program with you. I always enjoy interacting with you, Pastor.
She's just you're in the spiritual. You see, you don't do all those things. Can you see how to do it? Please go ahead. You can talk the whole day. We don't mind.
All right.
Super.
You a figure
You,
that
only me.
inspires me in my life.
Oh, Jesus.
So any opportunity to interact with you is really something for me.
Don't make me float. I'm floating now. I'm really floating now.
So, Scars to Stars is a program that has, let me say, that has impacted me very much, because these are people that I meet at the shops that I know of, that I know their background. It's not far removed. It's not a magazine personality in Europe or some other Western country. So I then are able to draw up a map, a roadmap to becoming a better version of myself.
Fantastic.
Definitely, I think I had maybe slumped into a malaise.
Okay.
And some inertia had creeped in.
Today I need a dictionary.
I'm telling you.
Malaise, inertia. Sure.
I think along the way, sometimes when life deals you some bad cards, you tend to withdraw. And,
That's right. Very
you
true.
Shrink.
Very true.
But it's gotten me thinking that who did I set out to be? And where did I make some wrong turns? Can I still come back into alignment and still, be able to aspire for more?
Fantastic.
To be able to also leave my mark, make my contribution to this world, to my community, to my family, to my circle of influence. The collection of women, hearing their different stories, I've been able to pick from each one of them and to come up with, let me say, a beautiful piece of art where I say, going forward, I think, I haven't reached my limits.
Fantastic.
And I'm ready now to go for it. Make a try again.
Awesome.
Give it a second chance. And, run a race. Tell a story. Write a story worth telling. In the main, I can say that's what Scars to, Stars
has done.
Provoked in me.
Oh, brilliant.
The diversity of the careers they're in. For instance, like, Chilufia Nyirenda, I appreciated that, you always have to have a plan for each section of your life, the corporate life, family life, spiritual life. I was always a goal setter, but as the years have gone by, I've not taken time to be able to sit down and think through where I want to go and how I intend to get there.
To get there.
So my takeaway, like from Chilufya, is I've got to sit down and set up some goals.
Okay.
And then have an action plan in place.
Brilliant.
I come to Mwizukanji.
You see, everybody
And,
has kept quiet. She's talking big. So everybody, even Musanda, is quiet. Please continue. We are listening.
Well, I'm in Mwizukanji, a young woman, a colonel.
The youngest colonel
Youngest
in
colonel.
Zambia's history.
Yes, there we are.
Woman.
A
Super.
woman, and married and all-rounder, and then you begin to say, well, you can achieve it all. You can balance your life very, very well. And for her to come up with an initiative like the Push Awards,
Yeah.
I think that's quite staggering.
Yeah, the Push Women's Network.
Yes, most definitely. I'm also a very, very firm believer of building women. So my takeaway, from Mwizukanji, is to go back and begin to work towards, a system, modalities, an organized effort to be able to bolster women, to get somewhere in life, to be recognized, to be mentored, to be
Fantastic.
given direction and encouragement. It's always been in my heart, but now I think I have a yearning to be able to come up with a master plan and see
brilliant.
what I too can
Can
do.
contribute, can do.
Yes.
Brilliant.
I come to Christine. Christine actually even happens to be my aunt.
Oh, wow.
And I know where she started from. I am familiar that she has come a long way to be where she is today. It's definitely very, very inspiring and challenging, and you say, well, if she can do it, surely I also can do
That's
something worthy. The work that she undertook over decades has impacted what society is today.
That's right.
She touched about modern day challenges like HIV and AIDS, being able to take through populations from one mindset to another. And it's not only HIV and AIDS, it's a whole lot of human problems
Yeah.
that probably need relooking, rethinking, and bringing about a change in attitude.
Yeah.
And so even that achievement in the HIV and AIDS fight, bringing about positive attitudes, moving away from stigmatizing and making it acceptable. It shows that if we then take that approach even to yet other human challenges, there can be greater good achieved for humanity.
That's right.
So, and her work has helped families, where initially in families, people are dying, you look on helplessly. Because of work that people like Rundambuyo undertook and were dedicated to, until such a time, the changes were actually tangible. They've contributed to the longevity of people who otherwise would have fallen through the cracks. So in a discussion, it might appear flimsy, but it's actually impacted families, communities. It's helped preserve human life.
Fantastic. Awesome.
So definitely, Scars to Stars has left me thinking. I'm gonna evaluate my life. I'm gonna set some new goals, and have a sense of endeavor,
Okay.
which is something that makes one feel a sense of purpose it makes you feel you are worthy and people can count on you.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant. Kasungo, we've done your job. Can we go home?
Yes, we
She's
can.
done
We
it.
can close.
You
Guys,
have
thank
to
you
end
for
your
watching.
pay. Sorry, you got to end your pay. So please, I hand over to you. Can you do your job
I think she has sort of like touched on every
fantastically?
angle, and you've really spoken very well. I would like to get the ball running yet again.
The ball has run and has
The ball has
gone home.
scored the goal. I'm bringing it back a bit.
Okay.
And I want us to start with Mwizu Kanji. For me, listening to her and just being in her office and her space, it gave me a lot of courage, considering her age, having gone to the military, overcome, rose to the ranks. And when I was flipping through some of her pictures, I saw like she used to be a musician. She came out from that. She went into the army and she set the pace. She still showed her serious side. She showed her spiritual side, because she did speak about God a lot. She made reference to him, knowing that everything that she has achieved up to where she is today is for a purpose. And even the Push Awards was birthed from that
The
inspiration.
Push Women's
The
Network,
Push Women's Network,
which has the Push Award.
yes, was birthed from that. It was just a great encouragement, and it makes you want to look forward to seeing what you
It was birthed from her wanting to serve women, getting women together to fellowship. And that has now gone. And she says there's more to this. We can't just sit every time and just fellowship. That's for us. There's more. And she challenged and pushed the barrier. And today you have the Push Women's Network. For how many years now they've been honoring women. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And something that I picked out that stood out, she spoke very well. She spoke great stuff. She said, don't over romanticize success.
Yes.
You can't play success and say, oh, I'm going to get there. Or you can't. You have to work it out. You have to be able to work out your success. It doesn't come on a silver platter or a wooden spoon. You literally have to go there and ensure that you get it, and you get there. It's not going to be given to you. And that for me was just it.
Nonos, what did you get from Wizukanji?
From Zukanji, to extend on what she was saying, the realization that she needed to do something with herself.
Yeah.
And the way when she read Woman Thou Art Loosed,
Yeah.
it made her stop in her tracks and think. And she said something happened to her. Her spirit was stirred, and she said, now she knew, she believed God, but she knew that God saw her in a special light.
Yeah.
God saw her as a specific entity. She was special.
That's
she
right.
was unique, and she said she needed to do something about that. Now that is the substance that I'm talking about. We have the potential to question and change, either start a revolution or develop something, create something.
Yeah.
She didn't end with just reading the book.
Yeah.
She said, now this book has stirred something in me, and I see myself differently. She gets this new sense of validation of how God is confirming who she really is.
Yeah.
And then she births something else. Now that's...
You know what you just described, Nonge, is what education should be. The word education means to bring out what is in you, the ability to train you, to bring you information that brings out. So what you are saying is that she was educated, and the proof of education is what she has done. So most of us, I wish we all will be like that, whereby something comes into us and it provokes you to bring out what has already
triggers something.
And that's what you just described. So real education, therefore, is bringing people to the point of realization, and they go to actualize. Now they begin to pursue self-actualization. And they start to create things. And that is what you said Wizukanji just done.
And
she's doing still.
The other thing too, for that to happen, because that's a process,
Yeah.
it's about what's around you.
Yeah.
Who's in your environment?
Yeah.
Who's in your space?
Yeah.
What's molding you? What's building your ethics?
Yeah.
Who's responsible for
Beautiful. What's
how,
building your ethics?
Yeah. Who's responsible for how you're thinking? Because as you think,
So you are.
so you will become.
Yeah.
What is in your ears all
Yeah.
day? You
Yeah.
know, what are you pondering on? There's a book that I read. I think it's The Secret,
Okay.
where it asked at some point. I was reading it and I was really into it, and it asked at some point, what do you spend your time thinking about? What's on your mind most of the time? And at that time in my life, I wasn't really doing much, so I said nothing much. And then it asks another question, and it says, and who are you now? And then I go, nothing.
So your
much.
thinking has brought that.
You know, so what you are now is a reflection of how you've been thinking consequentially. You know, there's evidence in there's evidence in your space of who you are inside. So what's in you comes out, affects what's around you, and then people judge you by what you produce or what you don't produce,
Yeah.
what you say and what you don't say, how you act and what happens when you don't act, and why don't you act. So it's beautiful that she tapped into that and made us realize that your relationships, your environment, and what you study, what you learn, what you listen to affects who you are really. And that's why it's important to have people that speak into your life, because maybe you're too young, maybe you're too dumb to get the lesson you learned at the time. But when you have someone that's helping you out and encouraging you and helping you, noticing something in you and validating you when you need to be validated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I think she had that because she discovered who she was, and she said her father validated and helped to bring out the best in her. Her mother, the exposure, early exposure, the confidence that came with it, that exposure brought a lot of confidence in her that has led her on to this. And she has never been one to, turn at challenges. She actually takes on challenges. A lot of that came through her upbringing and her early life experiences. Because a lot of who she is today came a lot from her early life experiences.
And remember, she said she had parents who noticed early what special gifts she had, or what kind of character she had.
Absolutely.
And they nurtured that.
Yeah.
And this is a lesson to childminders, to people who are parents, to people who are responsible in a child's formative years especially. This is a lesson to them to be careful and to take specific note about what kind of character, what kind of persona a child is presenting, and then help them move along and help them build what you see is good potential.
So people should identify people's gifts, talents, and help to develop their potential.
And the character.
And the character is formed actually because the environment and the people around you help you to form your character. So character is something that forms when we face challenges and things like that. We begin to, so if you're in an environment that disempowers you, that allows you, disempowers mean they allow you to buck out, to give excuses instead of facing challenges, then that person never reached their full potential, because every time they face this small stress, you say, it's okay, don't worry, it's okay. You get other people to do it. But these women, talking about Mrs. Kanji, even when she was going through her military training, she says when they started, the men were faster, but it got to a point where they were outshining the men.
And they had still
slow down.
So those are the things that build character and make leaders. Awesome.
I think even, I'll talk for the elders now. I think sometimes we need to understand things in context. A lot of times what we felt was harsh or unfair, or what we think now is not right, we're treating the genders unequally. what the elders were trying to do was they were trying to help you form a character that they knew was of good repute.
You need.
Yes, so if a child was acting out of line and they saw that this kind of behavior can end up, can
destroy your life.
Yeah, and they can
Or
end
mess
up,
you up.
yeah, so they would deliberately discourage
Okay.
a certain character. But I would like to believe when they say a woman shouldn't be heard, or if a girl is too noisy, it's more to do with the way a woman is respected. There are expectations for the female gender. A woman carries a lot. A woman is responsible for a lot in the household. So there's a certain character. There's a certain manner.
You know, when you say that, what I'm just saying, I wish they would turn that to men and say a man carries a lot, a man is responsible a lot, a man is going to be the head of the home, so a man needs to. I wish they would do that. You need to say that to the elders again.
But you know that they do that kind of extra emphasis isn't placed on the men.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
it's
exactly
the
what I'm
girls
saying.
that
They
look
place
at
it on
and
the
say,
girls.
Careful, don't speak too much. We're in public. Don't sit properly, and this, that. You know, they're trying to shape and mold the girl to have a character that is not questionable, a character that, you know, carries respect. When you say, oh, that girl is from this family, they'll say, yes, look at how she behaves. There's a lot of good to it.
So my point is, can we take it to the boys?
We
so
can.
that-
And that's
so
something
that-
Christine also spoke
Yes,
about.
so that they can say,
yeah.
oh, that boy is from this family. Oh, wow. So we're not clapping for boys because they can crash cars and drink bottles of beer, but we are clapping for the boys because we say, oh, he can manage money. Oh, he can cook. Oh, he takes care of the home. When we're not here, we don't like. Is it possible to raise our men that way? Does it make them less men? Okay, you guys are quiet now.
It is possible. I feel like it really is possible.
Because you see, my point is, you're spending so much time molding the girl's character.
Yeah.
But ultimately, who I think we should be forming that character the most is the boys.
Yeah.
Because the boys, societally, you say they are going to be the leaders.
Yeah.
So how are you investing in them to prepare them for leadership? Well, you're investing all your time preparing the woman for responsibility, and responsibility is leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership is basically responsibility. So more or less, you are preparing the girls to be leaders, or you are preparing the boys to be loafers.
And at the end of the day, the man will marry the woman who's responsible, and yet,
And then he can't handle her
yes,
growth, and then gender-based violence.
Comes in.
Because he says, I'm the man in the house. But she's making more money. And she's wearing the pants now. She's paying the rent. You are driving her car. She's giving you the money for the food. But you say,
I'm the man. You shouldn't speak when I'm talking.
okay, I don't know how we got here, but Inonga is saying, how did you guys get there just
Yeah,
now?
that's, you know, I'm trying to think. Like,
Yeah.
where are we?
So back to you guys. Navina has been quiet. We need to hear more from her. She's processing,
yeah.
synthesizing.
Hear her mind churning.
Yes, so we want to release that now. Please talk to us. Because when you spoke the last time, you could see how we all listened.
Yes.
Give us something. What have you been thinking about? Kona Namawa. We're talking about her. She's brought out this. What do you think? What do you think of all this we're talking about? You're the wise one in this place. All of us were just the children making noise.
No, I was following
Mhm.
how the boy child, needs to be groomed, needs to be shaped, and how their role, the boy children's role, should be maybe redefined. So I was trying to make head and tail.
We need to. Can you imagine? Boys are going to get married, and the girl you are going to marry gives you the lobola to go and pay to marry her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, who is the husband? He gave you the money to pay lobola. Or you go to your family, community development. They contribute for you to pay lobola to. So the wife is for who? The community or for that person? Lobola is not price. You're not buying the woman. But you're showing that you value, you treasure, you honor the family that's invested in her, and you're appreciating their work. But if you have to get 20 people in your family to contribute to marry a wife, are we raising them right that way? If that girl, because she loves you, has to give you
Some money.
the money for her own lobola, and still go and beg the family, say, please don't napapata, bring it down a bit. How do you then go back and be the man in the house? What do you think?
Actually, there's a story
Tell me a story.
trending
Mhm.
on social media where this young lady is asking for advice how she should handle her situation. Apparently, this suitor approached her family for her hand in marriage, and they set then the bride price, which according to the story was set at 18,000 kwacha. She gave the gentleman 12,000 kwacha or something like that to go and pay and maybe to raise the remainder. And then it turns out the gentleman only paid 3,000 kwacha
Yo.
to her family.
You're
And
joking.
he can't account for the balance.
And now she had to bring it out because she's
It's
surprised.
now come out.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's not hypothetical, it's actually
Real.
happening, it's real. So then
He
she's
got
asking-
12,000.
Yes.
He's left with 3,000.
And he only paid 3,000.
And she's going to marry him.
She's divided at this point in time.
Advice, are you watching? Don't marry. You marry that one, you're already in trouble. Oh. Think about it. He's already showed you he can't manage. If he can't manage resources, how is he going to manage your family and manage you? If he okay, it's not my business, isn't it? So let me come back. Now we are
So, there we are. We can
serious.
see that, boy children have just taken wrong turns in this life.
Yeah.
Because
Do you blame them? The Bible says, okay, sorry, I'm preaching. Train up the child in the way they should go. When they are old, they won't depart from it. So is it not what Nonos Inonge is saying, talking about environment? Is it not the environment, the family, the society, the community that has molded that boy to become that? So did he take the wrong turn? If you plant maize and you get maize, can you blame the maize for being maize?
not quite.
So if you raise our boys, which is the issue that came up from what Inonge said, if we raise our girls to be responsible, to be frugal, to be resourceful, to be hardworking, now they are succeeding. The harvest is showing. Then we raise our boys. Can we make excuses and say they took a wrong turn? Or do we go back and say, how are we raising our boys? What do you think?
My observation, in recent years, I've had the opportunity to be going into compounds,
Okay.
which is, pretty much the grassroots. And I've now been able to understand the dynamics that are at play in boy children's lives
Okay.
and what seems to be responsible for, a fair chunk, a fair share of our young male population just going to waste in life. It's a thing that I was very unaware of. I was totally oblivious to, the journey that
Okay.
boy children make in life. But now I've gained an understanding. And what I came to identify firmly is that it would appear there's very little resources allocated to their development and to their progression in
Okay.
life. And very common is that as soon as they've been through basic education, they are just left to wander about.
Okay.
Not only from the educational perspective, but even from the parental and guardian perspective. Clearly, there's no directed step-by-step supervision to ensure that young men transition into responsible adults.
So it goes back to what you said. They don't set goals. So we don't have goals.
Not
We
at all.
don't set goals for how we're raising our boys. What kind of boys do we want? What kind of men, what kind of leaders do we want? So we just let them
We let them be.
Be.
Yes. They wake up, they're purposeless in the morning.
Wow.
A child has finished grade 12. And they are then left to figure it out for themselves.
So it's like having a field that is plain. You don't choose to plant what is on it, and you just let the field be. Whatever comes out of you comes out of you.
Are you
yes.
saying that as opposed to the attention that the girl
Absolutely.
is getting? Is this a comparison, or are we saying it's the parenting that we're questioning because both the girls and the boys are being are led to, or are you saying because of the emphasis being on how the girl should
Because
turn
you
out?
all,
you're
from the
forgetting
beginning,
boy.
society has a goal for the girl.
Yes.
The goal is she's going to be a wife. She's going to be this. So you are raising her, you are waking her up earlier, she's going to bed later, she's doing chores, she's managing money, she's managing a home, she's managing her siblings, she's paying school fees and all those things. Even for her brothers, she's giving money because she has learned to manage. She denies herself. So that girl, from the beginning, there's a goal. And that goal is actually leadership.
Yes.
But for the boys, what we're hearing, which makes makes sense to me, that the boys will just let them.
Indeed. If anything, to kind of narrow it down to something, indeed, the girl children, maybe where we begin to understand the depth and what impacts on the boy child. If we observe, even physiologically, psychologically, the development of boy children, girl children is different from birth.
Yeah.
With the propensity for boy children to go off the rails, experiment with life, be self-destructive, the propensity is more.
Is more.
Look at how boy children will jump and you have to restrain them. There's testosterone there. You have to
But the
understand
testosterone doesn't come till, a lot of it doesn't come till much later.
that. Puberty.
Yeah, puberty and after that. So that in the most formative years, 0 to 7, they basically are like the same. Boys and girls are the same. Psychologically, even physiologically. It is when they come to puberty that you begin to see the difference.
Indeed.
In fact, when they play with themselves, you see, adults always think different because adults with their adult mind say she's a girl. The boy is
Don't
not
play
thinking
with
she's a
them.
girl. The girl is not thinking. In fact, you find that at that age, they're best friends. But once they come into puberty, society separates them. They stop thinking that way. And they also start to realize. So, between 0 and 7, which is when they form their personalities and all, they basically are like the same. So why are we not molding our boys from then to be leaders, but we're molding our girls from that time to be leaders? That's what this discussion has brought out.
I think it's an oversight.
It's an oversight.
Yes.
I was gonna
And
say
the result should compel
yes.
parents
Fantastic.
to
Yes.
now
Fantastic.
Yes.
address it.
Yes.
Then we must start address this results.
Yes.
Think about it. Women have to pay a price for their success because they are growing so fast and the boys are not growing as fast as they should. Therefore now the woman is now here and she has to marry the boy, and then you impose and say, look, you either reduce your progress or you accept him to be your...
To push it down.
But you see, does he have the capabilities of being your leader when you're already growing higher than him? Are you not going to be suppressing her? If you don't build this person's capacity, then this person becomes a lead to her growth, and then you see divorces. Because this guy is preventing her full expression. He can't lead this one. So, soon enough, this person has to, if she doesn't want to kill herself and stop her growth, she has to go. So this person goes to people that don't know where they're going yet, and impregnates and all that, and leaves them with problems. But this one that knows where she's going, you want to stop her from growing. Says, no. Before you came, I knew where I was going. I'm not being rude. I'm just being audacious. Audacity. I got to be who I've seen myself to be. Then you say she's proud. Then you say she's this.
Yeah.
Then you say because you have a car. No, it's because she's. I don't know. What do you guys think?
And to add on to that, this I'll go back to Ndambuyo, what she was saying. She talked about socialization.
And she talked about that a lot. Thank you for bringing us to that.
Yeah.
She did talk about that a lot.
Socialization as being responsible for
Yes.
the paradigm that,
Yes.
that we're in,
Yes.
the culture, our upbringing from home, the norms that society,
Yeah.
imposed on us.
They even
And then-
still till now. They ask her, when are you
Yes.
going to? And she says, no.
No, I won't just marry anything.
You heard
Like how
that?
she said that.
I like that she
Marry
said that.
anything. Yeah, but you see, again, let's remember that when we're born and when we're young, we're all blank slates.
Yes.
And she brings in the notion that all this behavior is learned behavior.
It's learned behavior.
So if it's learned, then we can unlearn
Yeah.
and relearn what is necessary so that we're relevant for the life
Absolutely.
today.
Absolutely.
So she says we need to go through a process of reprogramming
Yes.
how we were programmed.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing that it's not really very beneficial. There's a time when that was acceptable and nobody rocked the boat. The women complied. They fell into line with it. But
When
then
they asked how high, when they asked jump, they said how high.
so things are changing now.
Things have changed.
Things have changed.
They have
now,
changed.
because before, where the girl was restricted from school.
And you know why? The girls at that time were not educated.
Yes.
They were not empowered.
Yes.
They didn't know the agency they had.
Yes. Yes.
So the biggest thing was, those days, the girls were not educated.
Yeah.
So the man would go bring the food home,
Yes.
the check home,
Yes.
no matter how little the check is. But today,
Things
the
have
girls are educated.
And that's where I was coming to, because now over time, now we have this pool and we have this cadre of women
I like
who
that.
who are rising and
Yeah.
catching up with the boys who always had a fairer chance.
Yeah.
And so we have all these female executives and managers and supervisors and the corporate space. Now we have
And
the
entrepreneurs.
genders, yes, and entrepreneurs. And now we have the genders battling at the same table. And it's merit for merit. They're the same. They're achieving just
Yeah.
as well
Yeah.
as the men. So this is like a new phenomenon. You now have this pool of women who are go-getters,
Highly
who are
competent,
high achievers, they're
capable.
competitive, they're showing that they can, they can take the corporate space, they can take the engineering space, we're everywhere.
Can I say this? Not that they can, they have taken.
Yes. So now this is a new.
They have taken
This
it.
is a new.
Musonda, it's hard to keep up. I see your cameras flying.
This is a new phenomenon. This is a new thing that we're seeing. It wasn't like this before. And then there's this influx of the females coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And then there's the old schooling. And then there was the stigma from before. And
Yeah.
this generation is getting away from that.
Yeah.
And then you have successful women all
Successful
over.
women.
And now people are getting confused. How do you deal with this powerful woman at home?
Yeah.
She's everywhere. When she has a problem, where does she go? Because she's the one everyone goes to.
But unfortunately, I have to come
I
back
was
to
going-
you
I was
because the
going to
next
say-
program is due.
We have run out of time.
You're
We have run
right.
out of time. I'm telling you. We have run out of time.
And in ending, I just want to echo the words of Chilufyangoi Nyirenda.
She was super.
She was super. She says every woman has the ability to write their own story.
Yes.
And when you make a mistake, you can rewrite it. You can
Yeah.
take the rubber and write something else. So we have the power within us. And same as the narrative of the men, we've realized that these men,
I like that. Same. The narrative. We can change the narrative.
we can change the narrative. If this is what we have noticed, and we have parents that are listening, fathers that are listening, young men that are listening, it's high time that we change that narrative.
Yeah.
And the possibility is within us, because we can can rewrite that story. So as we end, I just want to say thank you to each and to everybody that came. I want to thank you for coming. And
absolutely, thank you, Nonge. You've been phenomenal.
Thank you.
You have spoken very
Nawina has been awesome.
Awesome. Your knowledge is just so vast.
I'm telling you.
I feel like we should have them again. You people should come again. We want to hear you. And for everybody watching at home, on Facebook, on YouTube, we want to say thank you very much and keep watching. So from everybody here, we're saying good night and God bless you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
It's your friends.
I insist.
Your drama.
Do you think you can talk about my dad like that? You're in charge.
And intrigue.
Are you out for good or what? What do you want?